Well, as nice as the weather is going to be, North Carolina officials don't want you outside packing parks and greenways.
They're so worried about the risk of spreading the virus. They said they want everyone to stay home this weekend unless you work at an essential business. Officials in both Carolinas are driving that point home. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster announced new restrictions on what businesses are considered essential and non-essential. And this is similar to what North Carolina already has in effect. Places like clothing, furniture, and sporting goods stores are all now considered non-essential. They'll have to close at 5 p.m. on Monday. McMaster said that hardware, home improvement, and gun stores can stay open. He has not issued a stay-at-home order across the state yet.
In Mecklenburg County, CMPD has started cracking down on that aren't following the stay-at-home order. Police cited Cool Cave Spa in Southeast Charlotte and told them to shut down. But the business is now refusing, instead saying they're going to stay open as a donation center to collect supplies for people in need. We asked CMPD if the business is still in violation, and we are waiting to hear back. Now, this is all about limiting social distance and slowing the spread of COVID-19 in Mecklenburg County. Atrium and Novant made this chart, and we want you to take a look. If we ignore the stay-at-home order and we don't social distance, the county's cases would peak on April 25th. If we follow orders, the peak would be on May 11th. And take a look at these numbers. If we practice social distancing, Atrium and Novant say the number of hospitalizations would be cut nearly in half. That's why CMPD is urging you to take this stay-at-home order seriously.
If you don't have to be outside to take care of an essential job function or for survival, don't go outside. Doesn't take very far to look to see people who, in my opinion, clearly aren't taking that seriously.
Google is tracking the change in our lives because of social distancing. The company used its data from its location history to look at changes since stay-at-home orders went into effect, and it found a 40% drop in shopping trips and recreation in North Carolina compared to the way it was, a 35% drop in people traveling to work, a 15% drop in trips to grocery stores, maybe a little surprising there, but a 13% increase in trips to parks. South Carolina had a slightly smaller drop in retail and recreation at 38%. Traveling to work also saw a drop of 34%. Trips to the grocery store fell an 11%. But in contrast to North Carolina, trips to the parks actually fell 4% in South Carolina. Google did not specify how many users each county or state contributed to the report. It says that it will continue to track that data as long as public health officials find it useful.
Well, this morning, we're getting a more detailed breakdown of how many cases are in our area. Right now, North Carolina is reporting about 2,100 cases with 19 deaths. Mecklenburg County says it's handling 601 cases, and there are now multiple cases in every zip code in the county. Yesterday, we learned 2 CMPD officers have tested positive and 14 more are now in quarantine. And here's the most concerning part. Sources told us police aren't sure where or when the officers picked up the virus. It could have been while they were off duty. The Fraternal Order of Police told us they asked law enforcement agencies in Mecklenburg County to stop sending officers to minor calls to limit exposure to the public.
We need to take this a little bit more serious, start really looking into, the types of calls of service that we're, exposing these officers to.
CMPD says it's limiting exposure by doing more online reports. A medic and a firefighter in Charlotte have also tested positive. It's clear that these people are risking their lives to serve us. So we asked what other police departments across our area are doing to keep their officers safe. Concord and Gastonia officers got protective equipment like masks, sanitizer, and gloves. They're also handling non-emergency calls by phone. In Rock Hill, dispatchers will ask callers if they have any COVID-19 symptoms before sending an officer. 3 of Mecklenburg County's cases are at a nursing home. They live at Pavilion Health Center in Ballantyne and are reportedly doing well. A nearby senior facility, Brightmoor of South Charlotte, sent this letter to its residents, alerting them to the cases at Pavilion. We reached out to Pavilion Health Center for a comment, but we have not heard back.
South Carolina reached 1,700 cases yesterday. Today, we now have a breakdown of the cases by zip code for all of our local counties. First, here's the total number of cases, more than 120 in all 4 counties in our area. York County, where 1 person died from the virus, is now up to 73. There have been 34 deaths statewide. And here's that new data from DHEC breaking down zip codes. It says the most impacted zip code in York County is 29732, which covers part of Rock Hill. There are 21 cases there. 29730, also in Rock Hill, has another 13 cases, and 29715 in Fort Mill has another 18. Governor McMaster demanded this data and the estimated number of people who are likely infected and untested. Earlier this week, we told you York County Sheriff was frustrated that the state wasn't releasing more details to first responders. He believes that they need to know where the cases are so that they are prepared before arriving to an emergency.
Well, if you thought about going to Hobby Lobby today, you can't. All of them are now closed. On Thursday, we told you the Cabarrus Health Alliance told the store in Kannapolis to close. Hobby Lobby said yesterday it will furlough nearly all store employees and many of its corporate employees. Last night, we talked to shoppers leaving the store in Matthews just before it closed, and some said they should stay open.
I think under the circumstances, they probably should, because if people have seen these YouTube videos how to make these masks, that they're looking for material to do that.
There's no timeline yet for when those stores will reopen.
A Charlotte distillery is working on free hand sanitizer for first responders, and another business is helping them. This is Dragon Moonshine. They're located near Noda, where they are making the sanitizer for first responders and corrections officers. But they needed some containers to put it in. So a global packaging company, Amcor, gave them 9,000 bottles.
It seems to me that disasters bring out the worst and the best in people. And I got a chance to see the best in people.
It's very cool. Dragon Moonshine pumped out 110 gallons of sanitizer so far. A Statesville distillery is also making hand sanitizer and giving it to first responders. Southern Distilling Company made nearly 80,000 bottles in less than 2 weeks. Look at all that. The owners not only hope it will save some jobs for now, they're also hiring people to help make all of it.
One South Carolina woman is leading a global effort to explore how the pandemic has revealed cracks in areas like education, housing, and healthcare. Dr. Elizabeth Wilson's nonprofit group, Youth Foundation, has now organized a 2-day virtual conference called Global Launchpad. She says the pandemic has proven that access to critical resources is not equal for everyone.
This is a critical time where we have to think about how we're going to rebuild and reimagine society. So what we want to do is convene people together to brainstorm and discuss ideas.
The conference starts on April 15th. Wilson hopes it leads to closing the gap for people in different social and economic groups. And time again, we are seeing beautiful examples of people helping each other during these challenging times. Just take a look at the long line of cars that showed up at the community shelter of Union County yesterday. The shelter gave out 150 bags filled with meat and produce to people who might not be able to afford to feed their families.
Giving them hope, keeping them healthy. As I've said, I think that every single one of us are capable of doing more and being more in our community.
The shelter's planning to do this every Friday night at 6.